Chair, siguro pupunta na ako sa DILG. Salamat sa iyo, Engineer. Ha?
Yes, DILG, Region 10.
Yes, sir.
Yes, DS Marcoleta.
Pwede pong makuha ang pangalan po niyo, sir.
It's Arnel Agabi, sir. Your Honor.
Ikaw na naman pala, Director. Wala po ba tayong sa central office, Mr. Chair?
DILG Usec Echiverri.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yusek, buti nandiyan ka pa. Pasensya na, mahaba tayo. Marami kasing aspeto ang ating itong masundan dito. So, you have to bear with us, Yusek. Salamat sa participation mo. Yusek, is it correct that under Clause 2, which is the purpose of Memorandum Circular 2020-068, it was issued to direct all LGUs to postpone all demolition and eviction activities and ensure that all homeless citizens within the respective jurisdictions are properly accommodated.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Napatunayan po, kanina po siguro nakikinig din kayo dun sa report ng Commission on Human Rights in Region 10. They were able also to document that really there did happen a eviction, although ang na-document nila is August of 2020. And they're still looking on those other demolitions in April of the same year. So lumilitaw talagang merong nag-demolish 2020 August. Yun po'y kasagsagan po ng pandemya, Mr. Usec. At alam naman natin, ito pong circular na to was issued in connection with Republic Act 11469, also known as Bayanihan 1, which declared the existence of a national emergency arising from COVID-19 situation. Am I correct, Yusek?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Nung pong mag-conduct ng demolition sa Ozamiz City, ay meron po bang pagkukulang ng DILG officials doon at saka PNP officials? Kasi po, ako po tumawag din sa PNP. Ang totoo niyan, nag-text po ako doon sa PNP official head noon, si Director, napaglimot ko na yung pangalan. Basta tinext ko yung dating PNP, yung sinundan po ng ating present na sino po?
Albayalde?
Hindi, yung isa pa, yung pumalit kay anyway.
Pascolan.
Isa pa yon. Ngayon, tinext ko siya sa
si PNP Chief Archie Gamboa.
Archie Gamboa, salamat Mr. Chair. May text ako sa kanya at ayun naman na inaamin ko at hanggang ngayon nasa akin ng text message. Ang text message ko lang kung po pwede pong ma-asistihan ang mga tao sapagkat napakarami pong tumatawag, hindi ko naman po alam kung anong nangyayari ron. Kung po pwede po sanang malaman kung ano po yung punot dulo. Dahil kako, Usec, at yun naman ay kinonfirm mo na rin. Ang pagkakaalam ko po, it was confirmed to me by Usec Echiverri na wala naman pong writs of demolition na inisyo ang korte. Baka sakali pong sa pamamagitan ng opisina ninyo, magabayan po natin ang mga kung kailangan pong pahintuin muna dahil pandemic po ay malaking pasalamat naman po ako kung magagawa ninyo. Ganun lang po yung message ko, Mr. Chair. Pero hindi po ako sinagot. Ang alam ko po siguro maring tinawagan niya yung PNP doon sa lugar na yon. Pero hindi ko na po alam kung ano pa yung sumunod na pangyayari. Usec, ikaw naman, nakausap din kita sa pamagitan ng telepono at ikaw nangihinayang din sa pagkakawasak ng mga bahay at nalaman mo rin na wala palang writs of demolition. I will go to Section 6. Dito po kasi sa inyong Memorandum Circular sa Clause 6, meron po siyang provision na ganito . failure to comply or any violation of any provision shall be dealt with in accordance with Section 6 of RA 11469. Ang Section 6 ng 11469, Mr. Usec, nakalagay po ganito. In addition to acts or omission already penalized by existing laws, the following offenses shall be punishable with imprisonment of 2 months or a fine of not less than 10,000 pesos and not more than 1 million pesos or both. A. LGU officials disobeying national government policies or directives and imposing quarantines. Ang pagkakasira po ng mga bahay, Usec, is nung panahon ng pandemya, is against the purpose of Memorandum Circular 2020-068 sapagkat doon pinapopostpone muna ang demolition. Kung sakali po dapat mag-demolish, okay lang naman po, lalong-lalo na kung papayagan naman ng korte. Pero yung memorandum po, sabi, i-postpone muna lahat ng demolition and eviction kasi nga pandemic. At ang sinasabi ron, ensure all homeless citizens within the respective jurisdictions are properly accommodated. So yung pong pagkaka-demolish ng mga bahay, Mr. Usec, is inconsistent with the purpose of the, kasi po imbes na sinesecure natin sila, ina-accommodate nila dahil pandemic, sinisira po natin ang mga bahay nila. Am I correct, Mr. Usec, in my observation?
On that aspect, yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Ang sinasabi po kasi, kaya inaano ko po itong penalty, ang last paragraph po kasi, nung section 6, paragraph A, ang last paragraph po nakalagay ganito, doon sa last sentence. Provided further that if the offender is a public official or employee, he shall, in addition to the penalties prescribed herein, shall suffer perpetual, temporary, absolute disqualification from office as the case may be. You confirm this provision, Mr. Usec?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Usec, the Memorandum Circular took effect immediately on April 2, 2020. Of course, you know this. And it shall be automatically rescinded after the state of calamity has been lifted by the President of the Philippines. Tama po?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Pero the declared state of calamity, Mr. Usec, throughout the Philippines, hindi pa nalilift ng Pangulo. Tama po?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
The very fact is that it was even extended by Proclamation 1021 until September 12, 2021. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Salamat sa iyo, Usec, at gusto ko yung polo mo. Wala na muna akong itatanong kay Usec, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Kung pwedeng...
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Deputy Speaker Marcoleta, the clerks of Court of Branch 15 and 35 are now present.
Thank
Ay,
you.
Thank you, Deputy Court Administrator.
Thank you, Usec.
Yes, po.
Andiyan na po yung Clerk of Court, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Mr. Chair, Your Honor, nandiyan na po sila.
Salamat, Deputy Administrator.
You're welcome po.
Branch 15 po, kung nandyan na, a few questions lang.
Attorney, I think, with your permission, Your Honor, I think that Attorney Guangco.
Yung si sa female, yan, siguro, yan.
Nandito na po.
Attorney Wangko.
Guangco.
Yes,
Guang-
I'm here, sir. Attorney Julie May Guangco. Good afternoon.
Attorney, just a few questions, please bear with us. I-clarify ko lang uli. Please tell us the number of expropriation complaints filed by LGU in your court, branch 15.
For branch 15, there are 9 cases originally raffled to branch 15, sir.
Okay, so ang napunta po sa inyo, branch 15, 9 cases lang.
9 cases out of the 16 cases.
Of this number, how many were issued writs of possession?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cases are issued with a writ of possession already.
Okay. So meron pong na-issuehan ng meron pong na file ng expropriation complaint pero hindi lahat na-issuehan ng writ of possession.
Yes, that's correct.
Of the 7 residents or owners who were issued writs of possession, ilan naman po yung nabigyan ng writs of demolition?
And so far as I can remember, and based upon the record, sir, the court did not issue a writ of demolition.
Okay, that jives with the answer of Usec Echiverri and also the testimony of the director from the Human Rights Commission. So the court did not issue any writs of demolition.
Yes, sir.
You also confirmed in the last hearing that 2 of the required deposits, namely replacement costs and of improvements and market value of crops and trees, were not complied with the LGU Ozamiz. Tama yun, attorney?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. That the only amount deposited corresponded with the value of, let's say, 1,200 per square meter. Yun po yung testimony nyo last time.
Yes.
Earlier, attorney, pinalitaw namin ng video na the current value of the current valuation in Ozamiz City and the closest reference test is Circumferential Road. Ang value doon is at least 7,500 per square meter, not 1,200. Do you know if the court at that time knew about the valuation, the current zonal valuation at the time that he issued the writ of possession? Kasi 7,500 as against 1,200 is a lot of difference, attorney. Were you aware of that current valuation na 7,500 pala in that area?
In my case, sir, I'm not aware, and there is nothing in the records that show that valuation, sir. So,
meaning to say, the court did not have the current valuation as basis. Ang nakita niya lang is 1,200 as presented by the plaintiff, the LGU Ozamiz. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And the value 1,220 is also indicated in the order granting the writ of possession, sir.
Yeah, okay. Attorney, so if the amount deposited for the land, as we have shown in this slide, is not the current zonal value, considering it's only 1,200 as against 7,500, and considering further the other 2 requisites are absent, which are the requisites in the expropriation, why do you think the court grant the writ of possession?
As the branch clerk of court, sir, I cannot answer that because the acting presiding judge, Oliver C. Perez, has already spoken to his order when the court granted the writ of possession, sir.
Yeah, but as a lawyer, considering that the 3 requisites are not present, assuming that you are the judge and not Judge Perez, will you issue the writ of possession?
As a lawyer, sir, the writ of possession should only be issued upon compliance as set forth by the law, sir.
Of the 3 requisites, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. In fact, attorney, you can probably help me verify from my records kasi kapag nung isang resident, no, Lisel Torres Moralion, meron siyang na-issuean siya ng writ, but without writs of demolition, dinemolish siya. Walang break open, no replacement cost, no nothing. Mary Ann Donaoto Galambao, ito walang writ. Okay? Pero dinemolish. Walang writ of demolition. Virgilio Carpio, Rosita Carpio, walang writ of possession pero dinemolish. Constancia Carpio Undara, walang writ of possession pero dinemolish. Kasi wala namang demolition order. Irenea Tadle, without writ of possession pero dinemolish din. Pinky de Guia without writ, dinimolish. Itong Melina Neri Soliano, merong writ, pero walang writ of demolition, pero dinimolish yung fences, yung extension ng kanyang bakod, yung kitchen, extension kitchen, yung gate at saka railings, dinimolish without the benefit of a court order for demolition. Joselita Amplayo, walang writ, pero dinimolish. Attorney, I presume that the LGU assumed that the writ of possession is synonymous to a writ of demolition. I ask you, is there a difference between a writ of possession and a writ of demolition?
Yes, there is a big difference, sir. There are two different writs.
They're
Sure.
two different matters altogether.
Yes,
And
sir.
as a lawyer, you know that you cannot demolish any structure without the issuance of a court order. Is that correct?
I believe so, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can I ask also the clerk of court of branch 35, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair, with the kind indulgence, may
Mr.
no,
Chair, I still have the floor. I think the agreement is I should not be interrupted in any way.
no, sir, with the kind indulgence lang. And I am just asking the chair on how long you will still be in your interpellations, because the at first party had only 1 hour and 30 minutes. You had already consumed 2 hours and 30 minutes. And if there are still others who would like to.
I will have 5 minutes only, Mr. Chair. Diaz Waminal, if you can, kung pwede ka magpasensya ng konti, mga 5 minutes na lang ako matatapos.
DS Oaminal,
Thank you very much. That's all right, sir. 5 minutes is all right, sir. Thank you, much. I'm sorry for the interjection. I'm sorry, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Your Honors,
So,
the lawyer of Branch 35 is Attorney Pasiol, just for your information.
thank you, Deputy Administrator, but I think those questions are also relevant to the branch 35.
Yes, po.
Considering that I got already the answers, I will dispose of him already and I will go direct to you, Mr. Deputy Administrator, because these are the last questions. I think in 5 minutes we will wind up already.
Yes, Your Honor.
Please bear with us, Mr. Administrator. Alam kong kanina ka pa rin nandyan at alam kong inabot ka na ng 3 oras yata, pasensya na lang.
Wala pong
Are you familiar with the Supreme Court ruling in Belgica et al. Versus Ochoa et al. GR number 208566, November 19, 2013, with regard to post-enactment intercessions, etc., etc.?
I believe that's the pork barrel case, Your Honor.
Yes, sir. You're very correct there.
Yes, po.
I will quote a portion of that particular case. It says something like this, quote, "From the moment the law becomes effective, any provision of law that empowers Congress on any of its members to play any role in the implementation or enforcement of the GAA violates the principle of separation of powers and thus unconstitutional." Did I quote the part of that dispositive portion correctly, Deputy Administrator?
I believe so, sir.
Meaning to say, the members of Congress are categorically prevented to do anything, to play any role in the implementation or enforcement of the law, specifically yung GAA, because it will violate the principle of separation of powers.
I believe so, sir.
The members of Congress can initiate projects, but the implementation of this, like for example, in Lam-An, subject matter of this inquiry, is now left to the Executive Department in the person of the LGU Ozamiz. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Administrator, The location of the three projects that were heard today were only identified after the funding was approved in fiscal year 2019, GAA. Due to lack of specificity, meaning not a line item, will you consider the listing as lump sum as one of those prohibited in Belgica versus Ochoa?
Well, Your Honor, as you have presented it, perhaps it might be contrary to that ruling, because that case actually mentions that after identifying the needed funding for a particular project, Your Honor, members of Congress are not supposed to be involved in the implementation and to even determine how it's going to be spent, Your Honor.
Thank you. When a member of Congress appears in media interviews to defend the expropriation of the private lands to justify the action of the LGU in regard to a project whose funding was through his initiative, is this considered post-enactment intervention?
I cannot say with definiteness, Your Honor, that is so, Your Honor.
Okay.
Because it may depend on the statement being made, Your Honor, regarding the claim that it was through the initiative of a member of Congress.
When a member of Congress belatedly files a bill to convert the location of his ongoing project from a public land into one that can be alienated and disposed, can that be considered post-enactment measure?
Again, Your Honor, it depends on the purpose, but it may be, Your Honor, or it may not be, Your Honor.
When a member of Congress is the one defending the project implemented by LGU instead of the chief executive in a congressional hearing, is his action considered interference within the meaning of Ochoa versus Belgica versus Ochoa?
Well, the interference mentioned in the Belgica case, Your Honor, actually is after identifying the budget, any member of Congress is not supposed to be involved in its implementation or to carry out the identification of as to whom it should be awarded to, Your Honor. I think that is what is specifically mentioned therein, and also cross-border budgeting, Your Honor. That is also mentioned in a particular case.
If the LGU officials can evict their own people and demolish their houses without observing the elementary requisites of due process, we already knew that there were no court orders and writs of demolition issued by the court. And with certain offices like DPWH, COA, DILG, PNP, PCUP, CHR, and NHA, officials probably operate tolerating their acts. At talaga namang lumapit lahat ng mga residents dito. Napatunayan natin sa pagdinig. What does that send to our people, Mr. Deputy Administrator?
Well, my personal opinion is that, well, being in the public service, that means there's a need to look into a matter perhaps that involves the particular
Thank you.
project.
Thank you very much. Last question. Last question.
Yes, Your Honor.
The aggrieved lot owners went directly to the Supreme Court on a petition for certiorari due to extreme urgency, bypassing the hierarchy rule. The petition is docketed Lizelle Torres et al. Versus Soliver Peras et al. GR number 250170. Mr. Deputy Administrator, setting aside technicality, the Honorable Supreme Court ordered the respondents to comment on the said petition, giving the petitioners their much needed day in court, an important avenue for them in their solitary quest for impartial justice. Do you see some light at the end of the tunnel?
Well, at least perhaps, Your Honor, we can say that this is, in a way, not taking into account the decision of the Supreme Court in Geo Samar, because in Geo Samar, the Supreme Court specifically mentioned that only cases which, for one, requires determination of questions of law should be brought before the Supreme Court. And those matters that require factual findings should respect hierarchy of courts, Your Honor. So in effect, you might say that, Your Honor, because it did not follow what the Gio Summer case mandated previously several years ago, I think in 2019, Your Honor.
You're saying, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that Deputy Administrator, that the aggrieved residents have something to hope for.
I guess so, Your Honor, because the court did not immediately dismiss the petition pursuant to the Gio Summer ruling, Your Honor.
Maraming salamat sa iyo, Deputy Administrator. Mr. Chair, salamat po. At lahat po ng ating mga respondents, maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.